What's up and welcome back to Cryptographics. Today we are going over one hell of a video. We're going to look at the price of PulseChain at launch and just what it might be. Before we start though, I want to start with a quick shout out to all the members of the YouTube channel. Thank you guys so much. Quick shout out to BC, Eric Church, William Breeden, Arnold Bach, Navin Gautam, Thin Air J, Glenn Schuler, B, T Durick, Art Moracle. Thank you guys so much for your support. I love and appreciate you guys, and welcome to the graphics gang. Now, let's start with today's video. So in a few videos prior, I want to start with a correction here as well. I recently stated that Ethereum did a 450x from its bottom to its top in its first year based on what I had seen on the chart. And this was factually incorrect. Ethereum actually, or Ether, did a 47x roughly in its first year. So I either was looking at too long of a range or I just fudged the numbers completely. So I do apologize, and I'll be more diligent on my analysis and accurate with the information I present. And so in this video, I vetted all of the information for it to the best of my ability. I have asked people for opinions and advice that I really trust. And please, though, take it with a grain of salt. So before we get started with the price of PulseChain, because we're going to get there and you're going to want to see this, it's nuts. Let's go over exactly what is going on under the hood of this scenario. When it comes to the PulseChain airdrop, everyone who holds an ERC20 token gets a copy of that on the PulseChain. The other part of the copying that doesn't get talked about as much is the copying of liquidity pools onto the PulseChain network. So before we go any further, let's quickly summarize what a liquidity pool is for those who do not know. In order for you to swap a token you hold for any other token you wish to hold, a pool must be created within an exchange that holds the token you have and the token you want in a pool. This pool has a ratio that it began at, but will fluctuate over time as users deposit tokens into one side and withdraw from the other, basically making price of the one will fluctuate higher and lower, and so will the other one as tokens are input or removed from the pool. So Uniswap V2 pools, which I use for the math you will see later, use the formula X times Y equals K, whereas other protocols use more complex versions of the same equation just for combating different issues essentially within normal standard liquidity pools for the most part. Obviously, it's more complex than that, but that's a generalization. So let's use, for an example here, just so we can go over what liquidity pools are and how they work. Let's use Hex and ETH, for example. We're not using actual numbers here. We're just going to use arbitrary numbers for the sake of the example. So let's say the first pool was created between the two tokens and an equal number of tokens were placed on either side of the pool. X would be a representation of Hex and Y would be a representation of ETH. If we placed 1,000 tokens in either side of the pool, the equation would look like this. 1,000 times 1,000 equals K. Now, K is the constant that never moves and is used to calculate what either side of the pool is after depositing a token into the other side, or tokens into the other side as well. So in this case, 1,000 times 1,000 is equal to 1 million. So K is 1 million. If I deposit 50 tokens into one side to swap for the other, I do not get 50 tokens in return. You must always divide the constant K by the new number of tokens on the side you deposited in to find out how many tokens you are left, or how many tokens are left, and therefore how many you will receive. In this case, by depositing 50 tokens into side X, which is the Hex side, you would receive 47.4 from side Y, not 50. So now that we have a rough understanding of liquidity pools, let's continue talking about PulseChain and the liquidity pools being copied. The reason this copying of liquidity is so important is that all ETH tokens in all pools that are copied will get transformed into PLS tokens, which is where those who miss the sacrifice will obtain PLS from. The reason for this is ETH cannot exist on the network without being wrapped. This would be called ETH after it came across the bridge to PulseChain. The problem with these pools is that the ratio of any token in a pool with PLS is now completely wrong and needs to be fixed to compensate for the approximately 1.2 million times increase in supply versus the Ethereum or Ether token supply. How exactly is this going to get fixed though? The AMM bot. When PulseChain goes live and these pools are copied over, an automated bot that is specifically designed to go and fix these ratios starts the process. The bot essentially goes in and buys all the PRC20 tokens in pools that contain PLS by using PLS token that it mints/creates specifically to be used to purchase with. And again, a PRC20 token is the PulseChain version of an ERC20 token on Ethereum. So Hex on PulseChain is a PRC20, Shiba Inu is a PRC20, Link on PulseChain is a PRC20, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Again, this bot will create roughly 2% more of the supply of PLS specifically for this job, and going and injecting or buying up all of the PRC20s from these pools and then re-injecting the proper amount into the pools in PulseX, making PulseX the most liquid exchange on PulseChain. So fixing the ratios, in order for the bot to fix the ratio, it needs to obtain 1095.44 X or times less supply on the side of the PRC20 it is buying up and inject 1095.44 times more PLS into the pool. For example, if there are 6.363284 million hex on one side of a pool and 376.6941 PLS on the other side after the copy, the hex PLS pool would now sit at 5808.88 and the rest of the numbers for hex in that pool, and then it would have 412,645.78 and change PLS after the bot purchased up the hex and minted PLS to place in the pool. The ratio before it was fixed was 0.000059198065, you get it, PLS per hex, whereas it is 71.037014631946 PLS per hex after the bot buys up the hex in the pool using these numbers. If we divide the new ratio, so 71.037, the whole shebang, by the old ratio of 0.000059, etc., we get just shy of 1.2 million, which is the increase in ratio we were looking for. So using this math and the liquidity pools in Uniswap V2 available today, we can actually see what the price of PLS would be today if PulseChain were to launch. Before we get there though, let's talk about what happens to those PRC20s that get bought up. Where do they go exactly? And we alluded to this before. But after all these PRC20s are purchased from any exchange, they are placed in pools in the PulseX exchange. Hence why Richard Hart has stated that PulseX will be the most liquid exchange on PulseChain. Here is how the bot knows how much to place in the pools. If there was 6.363284 million hex originally in the pool it was harvested from, we subtract the new total in that pool from the original total. In this case, we would be left with 6,357,475 and change hex to be placed in the PulseX exchange, and would need to have 451,616,052 PLS minted and added on the other side of the pool in order to keep the ratio. And how we did this is basically if you multiply the new number of hex in the pool by the ratio, you should get the number of pulse that should go on the opposite side of the pool. The bot does this for as much of the liquidity pools as it can and places all tokens in liquidity pools in the PulseX exchange, leaving the bare minimum possible in all other exchanges. This brings an immense amount of tokens into PulseChain, again, making it the most liquid exchange on PulseChain. Now that I've made you work for it and go through all this math, let's get into how we can calculate the price of Pulse today. But first, let's set a disclaimer or two. This is for entertainment purposes only and is not meant to be anything other than that. It is purely speculative, and I will speak on when it's relevant and when it's not relevant later in the video, but do not use this information to make any financial decisions. It is only for entertainment. Also, smash that subscribe button if you're still watching. Now, let's take a look at the spreadsheet that's going to show us how we got the price and what that is. All right, here we are. I know this is probably really scary to look at, but I'm going to walk you through what's going on here. So how I've done this is I have taken from Uniswap V2's pool numbers, I've taken the number of these different tokens from DAI, USDT, Wrap Bitcoin, USDC, Unisand, Mana, Link, SHIB, and then Hex. And I have essentially calculated and verified the ratios that are in those pools using some math. And like I said, basically it comes down to the original pool numbers here were then moved down and either divided, like side X was divided by our multiplier here, or side Y was multiplied by it to switch those numbers around. And we get now these new numbers, which are much lower, which you could probably saw, or you realize that are the same that are here in the video. So now I'm going to scroll way down because I know I'm on the bottom left here. But essentially what we've done is we've figured out, because we know the exact ratio here. And these numbers are based on yesterday. I haven't gone in and edited them for today. But yesterday, the price of Hex was around 0.12. And based on that number specifically, if we come all the way down and we utilize this ratio to figure, basically, we divide the price of Hex by the ratio, and we should get the price of Pulse. And if we get that, we should get roughly, if you can see here, there's about an average of 0.0017 roughly as the price of Pulse. The sacrifice, so the sacrifice was 0.0001. The new price that we're seeing here, if it launched as of yesterday, would be 0.0017. That is a 17x difference in price from buying Pulse at the sacrifice, the first multiplier, the highest possible point, to now. That is crazy. Absolutely nuts. Again, 17x if it launched today. And again, this is for entertainment purposes only, and only that. But let's talk about when this price is relevant. Okay, so and this number or this method of calculating, if it is correct, would be most accurate closest to the moment PulseChain mainnet goes live, pre-bridge and pre-bridge only, and would be moving further away from any price prediction you could make with every hour that passes or even every trade. So it will be very difficult to track how the price of PLS is moving in the pre-bridge scenario. I'm sure if you crunched all of the numbers, you could roughly figure out what you're paying, but that just seems like a headache. And I am not saying you should or should not trade in the pre-bridge PulseChain mainnet. But what I am saying is that the most predictable time to purchase PLS token seems to be as though it will be closest to launch within that period. In order to calculate the price of PLS at launch, we simply need to update what the Hex Ethereum Uniswap V2 pools on that day specifically are specifically into the spreadsheet. Once we do that, it will spit out the price according to the new numbers. So if you'd like a copy of this spreadsheet, if you want to either vet the work for yourself and see if I made any errors, because I really want to know if this is right or not. I vetted it myself and with a couple others, but still always looking to make sure that it's good. So if you'd like a copy of it for that reason, or any other reason you want to mess around with it or have it for yourself, follow me on Twitter. That's at Cryptographics. Share this video and tag me so I know to DM you the link. Again, guys, this is for entertainment purposes only. And as exciting as it is, it's only for that, okay? So please do not use this information for any of your own financial decisions. It is strictly for entertainment. But that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. It did take a lot of work to get all that done, which is why I've been kind of on a little bit of a hiatus with the videos, trying to figure out how to do this. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop me a comment with your thoughts. If you thought I did something wrong, if you thought that something could have been added, if you absolutely loved it, I want to know what you think, and please smash that subscribe button so more people can see this and get hyped for PulseChain. If you'd like to support the channel, you can join the YouTube memberships. You can go to cryptographics.com and you can either buy a t-shirt or a hoodie. You can also book a one-on-one call there, and I have a donation link as well in the description if you'd like to do that as well. But no, there's no obligation, only if you think that you'd like to do that. And again, finally, guys, there's scammers in the comments. Please, if it doesn't say my highlighted name, it's not me. If it says WhatsApp pinned by Cryptographics, it's not me. So please make sure it's me, and I'm never going to ask you to go anywhere. But that being said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Again, we're streaming tomorrow. If you're watching this on Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday this week, there'll be 3 more streams. Maybe we'll cover this tomorrow and get some questions asked. So please check out the video then, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.